It's time to play the music.
It's time to light the lights.
It's time to get all nerdy
with the Nerd Showcast tonight.
Welcome again to the Nerd Show TV. First topic, what's finding the best comic for you? I have my favorite characters. I've been reading for years. I get asked by people who want to get into comics how to get into it.
Well, I think for getting into comics, like, the big companies have made it easier to get into comics over the past several years. Used to be you had to, there's always a quagmire of...
Giggity.
Yeah, giggity. There's just, you know, a quagmire of...
Giggity.
Go on.
Yeah, there was so much back catalog, back history you had to know, continuity stuff. But, you know, over the past several years, the big companies, you don't see in comics like you used to. Someone will say something, there'll be an asterisk, and they'll say, oh, see this comic from 15 years ago for the information for this. You know, they're much more encapsulated. So if when people ask me about comics, I can give them recommendations, but mostly I say, look at the shelf. Find something that interests you.
I guess my question for you guys, too, is I don't know much about comics besides the movies that have come out. And I know that might sound ridiculous to comic book nerds, but are the guys in the shops and the girls in the shops perceptive to that, or are they a little bit snooty about it? Because if I walked into a shop and said, hey, I like this, this, and this, you know, blood, beasts, cats, blah, 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 would they be like, okay, why are you in here? Or would they be perceptive to someone like me who doesn't know much about it?
Honestly, if someone isn't helpful to you if you come to them with that, go somewhere else. Don't give them your money. There's a million other comic book shops that are more than happy to help you out. If you go to a shop...
So it's not a snooty genre. It's definitely someone that's going to accept you in it, or...
It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be. Okay.
The shops tend not to run into that with the shop staff themselves. Occasionally you get that super fan that's just like wants to be the grand poobah of comics, but for the most part, comic book fans, yeah,
they're enthused that you're going to enjoy it.
Yeah, and it's like, if you give them that question of, what's a good comic, boy howdy, they are excited to help you find out all about their favorite.
Speaking of first things, what about the first episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
I like that it wasn't so much like superpowers up in front. I've liked the S.H.I.E.L.D. guys in the comics for a long time. They're equal parts, you know, super spies, and they have all these fantastic toys. I mean, you know, in the comics they've got flying cars and all this over-the-top stuff, and it's just wonderful. I thought Joss Whedon did a great job bringing it to the small screen.
So why are we still watching Grand Theft Auto 5?
It's the biggest story in video games right now.
It's the biggest story on everything right now, actually.
Yeah.
You came over the other day to my place, and I got to try it out. So we played a little bit more, had some fun with it. So let's check it out.
A couple of weeks ago, we started talking about Grand Theft Auto 5. I've had a chance to play a good length of the ways through the game, and I gotta tell you, this game is a lot of fun.
How have you been?
Oh, simply wonderful. And you?
Somewhere stuck between joyful and peachy.
Everything that I thought was going to be exciting about it is even better. When I mentioned the heist scenes, I really like that they have you do a fair bit of legwork before you do a mission. For instance, the first one of the heist scenes is a jewelry store robbery, and you have the option to go in loud and guns blazing, or you can go in smart. I didn't play through it this way, so you may end up having to fight your way out when the cops get here, but, you know.
I like these games.
There's two ways I see of doing this. We go in smart. Let's go. Or we go in loud and dumb.
Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your moment. Please don't make me ruin all the great work your plastic surgeons have been doing.
What you do there is you end up putting some knockout gas through some air vents and hacking the computers of the security system and try to get in and out real quick.
There we go.
Alright, so you can see you've taken just under $5 million worth of jewels. I'm loving the radio stations in this game. There's an old school, mostly 90s hip hop station that is hosted by, they have DJ Pooh.
Bringing you the classics. Hit me up, DJ Pooh.
The driving mechanics are great. The graphics are fantastic. The shooting mechanics have been updated a bit and they're really fun. All the characters have a special ability that they can use. Franklin, he can slow down time while he's driving, so you can get really precise control when you're weaving in and out of traffic. Michael, who is kind of a retired gangster, he can slow down time when he's shooting, so you can line up your shots real well. And Trevor, who's just kind of this crazy meth dealer guy, he starts doing more damage with his guns and taking less damage from shots. So it's basically like he gets a berserker rage mode. And it's really interesting the way that it opens up the gameplay.
What is wrong with you?
I'm blown away with how quickly this game has sold. In its first day, it sold $800 million. By day 3, it had sold over $1 billion. It's being talked about like it is going to be one of the fastest selling entertainment products of all time, and time will tell on that, but it's certainly on its way to it. Well, I gotta get going, but hang on to that. Let me know what you think. See you later.
I know y'all at the crib kicking back on the plastic covered couches, rolling one up right now, taking y'all on a gangster trip. Hey, the school of old.
Hey, David. What's
Fine.
up?
Hey, back to the bitch, man.
Oh, what the dude? Oh, David, my dentist thanks you for that.
Yeah, well, I think I got the raw end of the deal. I think I got the car.
So it wouldn't be a Grand Theft Auto game if there wasn't some form of controversy around it. And sure enough, Grand Theft Auto 5 has some controversy brewing up around it. GameSpot reviewer Carolyn Pettit, who is transgender, she reviewed the game and gave it a 9 out of 10, but said that the game has some very misogynistic views towards women that made it kind of unenjoyable for her.
They've never been, you know,
That's
PC
kinda,
at all.
Right, that's kind of their MO, to be over the top and hit every race, every gender, and just do all of the stereotypes of everyone, isn't it?
It's kind of, you know.
And she knocked off 1 star.
Yeah, and I don't even think it was for that. It was just, I think that was more of just like,
commentary.
Hey, this was an issue for me, which is fair criticism.
Here at the Nerd Show, we like to say, click this, not that. This week we're looking at a man that hooked up his Nintendo output to the Mario theme, where we see him do a robotic drum kit and also a piano being played. It's actually just better to watch than try to explain, so let's check it out. Entertaining. What did you think, Jim?
I really like the Zelda bit. That was probably my favorite part of it.
Definitely. And I like how the little drumsticks are just doo-doo-doo-doo-doo.
Yeah.
It's a robot, but it still kind of looks like little hands. I loved it.
So from Mario Brothers to zombies, I just recently sat down with a friend of the show named Ben and talked about what's going on, everything Walking Dead. We talked about the comics, we talked about the show, and we had a good little chat about it. So let's check it out.
Sanctuary.
Is that a voice?
So today we're here in my home at my Nerd Cave, but I have with me Ben, who is a big Walking Dead fan. As you people know, I'm a big superhero comic book fan. I don't read a whole lot of the indie lines, like Walking Dead, but I do watch the show. But Ben here does read it, so what can you tell me that's going on in the series?
Well, actually, it's pretty exciting right now. Rick's group, who you know from the TV show, is teaming up with a bunch of other communities or small pockets of people to fight this big bully that's kind of terrorizing the people. He says he's protecting them, but he's really just taking all of their goods. And where we're at now is issue 115. It comes out on October 9th. And actually, a bunch of comic book stores are going to do a midnight release of the issue to commemorate it. They're doing multiple covers.
I did hear somewhere that starting with this new story arc with the war, that they're going to be coming out bi-monthly instead of monthly?
Yeah, actually, the way it's been going previously is they'd usually come out with one issue a month. Now they're going to do bi-weekly releases.
Oh, bi-weekly, okay.
Yeah, to kind of ramp things up.
It's manageable, but unless we get ahead of it, not for long.
Stay close. There's walkers indeed!
There's no real coincidence, I guess, that the comic book's ramping up here now with the bi-weekly releases, coinciding with the starting of season 4 for The Walking Dead on the TV show.
I personally, I gotta catch up on my Netflix. I've only seen the first 2 seasons. I know season 3 had to deal with, the governor a lot and his group of people.
This fight, it will go down to the last man.
Can you tell us anything like what we expect to see in season 4?
They haven't released too much about the TV show yet for season 4. I did notice online that I saw that they cast Rosita Espinosa, which is a character from the comic book. She came into play with 2 other people, Eugene and Abraham, which are big fan favorites from the comic book. So we don't know if they're coming into play. We don't know if the governor is going to make a return in season 4.
Fight to the death!
There's a lot of questions about what's going to happen. Another interesting thing that's come up is in 2015, they've already said that they're going to do a spin-off show on The Walking Dead.
Oh, okay.
Again, we don't really know too much about it. Everybody loves Daryl. He's kind of the fan favorite. It'd be interesting to see a spin-off with him and Merle going off on their own, kind of like the Survival Instinct game.
What the hell are you doing? What's it look like I'm doing? I'm saving the damn day.
What Kirkman's kind of trying to do now is kind of what he was doing in the comic book with creating a larger world, as he calls it, where he's seeing different pockets of communities. It might be interesting to see the spin-off where now we're going to see a whole different area away from Rick's group and how they deal with the apocalypse. Maybe Michonne, or if they just start all new with all new characters.
Oh, that'd be cool, yeah.
Yeah. Robert Kirkman's really excited about it because it's kind of a clean slate for him. He's not, pinned down to what the comic book did and following those lines, so it should be interesting.
That sounds pretty interesting. Like I said, I don't read Walking Dead currently, but I might have to definitely crack some of these books open, check it out. So, Ben, thanks for coming in.
My pleasure.
And see what happens with Walking Dead. Talk about zombies and the undead. I recently read some books that I actually borrowed from you, Klein, and Ben also reads them. Revival. It's a series where a bunch of people came back from the dead, but they're not zombies, they're not vampires, they're back, but they can't die. They regenerate. It's a good noir book. It's a fun read. I read both volumes the other day. And the best part, it takes place in Wisconsin. So, for you local people who are watching us, Wausau, Central Wisconsin, good stuff.
Who makes it?
It's by Image Comics, actually.
Well, and I love the main character in that. You're following the cop, and she's got interactions with her father and sister, and it's just a really well-written book.
She's tasked with dealing with these revivers, as they're called, and her sister is one. So she has to constantly deal with her younger sister, who is a reviver.
Spoilers.
Didn't you tell me that there's some old woman character that has her teeth out, and when she regenerates with her teeth, so then she yanks them back out?
Ooh, like a shark. She just keeps growing them.
Yeah, she stays awake at night. She can't sleep at night because she just constantly feels her teeth growing, like when you're a kid and they're coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And so she has this set of dentures, but she's so used to wearing them, she just sits there with a pliers all day and just yanks out her teeth. And you see the floor of the barn is just littered in teeth.
I bet that would be amazing in a show or in a movie. Like someone like Tom Savini would just make that look as rowdy as all hell.
This would be a great series or a movie. Definitely.
I would love to see that get picked up as a TV series, so it would have the time to address the characters and really get a nice, slow pace.
But, you know, there's 2 volumes out that collect 1 through 11, and they're on actually issue 14 right now. So it's not that hard to get caught up on it.
Yeah, and there should be another trade coming out soon enough with them being that close.
I think the first 2 came out 6 months apart even. So, I mean, that's pretty quick for trades. So, definitely a good read. You should pick it up.
Creepy stuff, man. Just
the best kind. Well, that brings us to this week's Nerd Guy and Nerd Girl. To start with, we have a nerd girl who loves tattoos. Of course, she hit me with that one. I love the idea of her being so enthused about the tattoos, and her name is Lana.
Lana?
Lana?
Lana!
What? And that brings us to our Nerd Guy of the Week, Dan, and he's dressed up as a Hulk, and he sure looks ready to smash.
He posted his picture to our Facebook page with the caption, "You wouldn't like me when I'm angry."
Ah, nice. Bill Bixby in the house.
Send in your Nerd Guy or Nerd Girl picture being as nerdy as you can be, and you can win a $10 gift certificate to Lost World of Wonders. Maybe catch up on some of these comics that the boys have been talking about all night.
Well, I'm loving all these great picks we're getting from our nerd guys and girls. Now, my favorite part of every week is I get together with my friends and have a game night. It's sort of the nerdy version of a CD poker game.
Hey, how much health do you guys have?
Okay. Sup, Tokyo.
Oh, dude. I'm going to yield.
Whippin'. What was that game you had that had all those dice?
Starfleet Battles. We had what, 90?
Yeah, 90 dice.
90 dice. It's awesome because, you know, when you want to know exactly which part of the left warp nacelle got injured by the Klingons' drone, you know, there's the system for it.
My problem with it is that any game where theoretically I should probably get a bachelor's to actually play it is just a pain in the ass.
Yeah, well, you do kind of need an accounting degree for it. It was built by engineers, so it's not designed for actual humans to play, but it's a lot of fun.
How long does it take to play like a whole battle sequence in Starfleet Battles?
2 ships you can do in a few hours. If you have a fleet engagement, no, it can take a weekend.
Yeah, like straight 48 hours?
Well, I mean, you get to sleep.
At that point, just make a damn video game of it.
They do have one. It's surprisingly unplayable.
Speaking of which, there's a Space Hulk video game that's not terribly great.
The thing with Space Hulk is, and I believe they actually mentioned this in the rules, is that you're kind of expected to lose if you play the Space Marine player side. Individually, they're really powerful, but it's 5 guys, 10 at most, versus infinity. But they're very upfront about it. They tell you the game is not fair. It's designed to be really hard for the Space Marine player. Because I almost won once, and it was really awesome. You know, that's totally in keeping with the entire Warhammer 40k mythos, where life is short, brutal, and unpleasant. You're staying in there? Okay.
Are you yielding?
Well, he's big man wearing his big boy pants, gonna stay in Tokyo. First time I ever played Munchkin, I was playing against you. And like my first turn in, it was just like, you know, just stomp on Jim.
Yeah, Munchkin can be a very brutal game. I mean, it basically lends itself to, you know, the rules lawyering, and it is very much a parody of the classic dungeon hack.
And I was just like, what
You have a
the
duck
hell
on
is
your
this
head.
terrible game I've played? And
I have played Munchkin drunk, and I had a lot of fun. But
yeah, I feel that game needs to have some sort of mind altering.
like, you know, if you're playing it without shots, you know, yeah, it could be rough.
Yeah. It does get too cutthroat, and the games just go on and on and on, and you get so heavily invested.
Maybe that's why people hate everyone so much after it. They're just so fed up with the whole process.
Well, yeah.
Now, as a game master, I love all of the different level up things. Like, I played a game where we had somebody, a Dungeons and Dragons game, where we had somebody cast fireball spells on swarms of bats to try and get extra experience.
Well, you know what I do like is Shay Geek, because it's very much Munchkin, but it's got a clearly defined rule set, so you're not like, it's a lot harder to be a bastard in Shay Geek, but you can be done with the game and still look the people you're playing it with in the eye the next day.
The best thing about Shay Geek is like it's lighthearted enough and it's nerdy. That is its point. So you can be like, oh well, why didn't you get to have sex with the girl to get those extra points? Oh, because you're watching Battlestar Galactica.
That makes it sound substantially more salacious than it actually is.
Yeah, it's not really that. I do like the idea of you're kind of building a department.
Yeah.
So you're a nerd who works tech support. You have more money, less free time. It's awesome that you build that, but then like, it kind of makes you feel sad for being a nerd. You're like, I remember the time I didn't have sex with that chick in the theater.
So you're trying for an evolution?
John, did you kill the dragon?
Oh, that's awesome.
You get attacked 3 times, 3 damage.
That's shot. He killed the dragon.
I go into the bay.
You dead?
I'm dead.
Oh, yeah, that's
mission accomplished.
Yes.
As you can see, weekly game night is a ton of fun. That game we were playing is King of Tokyo. I recommend it to anybody. It's a ton of fun. The more players you get in it, the crazier it gets. We also talked about the game that ruins friendships, Munchkin. Munchkin, you might want to play that only with people you don't care whether or not you talk to afterwards. For a slightly less cutthroat version, Shay Geek is a ton of fun. It's got a more clearly defined rule set. You can still remain friends when you're done.
And it sounds totally silly.
It is. And if you want a good meat grinder,
Get your muscles out to lift that.
Try to find a copy of Space Hulk. It's pricey, but it's a ton of fun. There's also a video game version of this available for PC on Steam. So check that out if you like the Warhammer 40K universe.
And I bet it's cheaper than actually playing 40K.
Yeah, like this.
I used to back in high school, and
no. Yeah.
And Napoleon's is gone now. So
yeah. Well, there's still plenty of places you can get 40K stuff, but yeah, you can end up spending a college education's worth of money on miniatures.
Yeah, easily.
So last week I got really excited when I saw our nerd girl Emu send in a picture of herself holding the official Feast of Ice and Fire Game of Thrones cookbook. It's a companion to the series and to the novels. And it's got some great stuff in here. Let's do a little cooking. All right, well today we're gonna make a modern beef and bacon pie. Now, this is the modern version. You can also make the beef and bacon pie traditional version. Why don't we try to make you a little bit more modern, more traditional kind of beef and bacon pie. Want to get started?
I'm in for the feast.
One of the neat things about this recipe is that it's kind of ornate and gives you a little bit of a fun bacon lattice that you can make for the top of the pie. You just got to keep putting them together. So one on top and one on the bottom. The ones that are underneath, you're just going to pull back so that you can lay another piece on top of there. Once you have your lattice work done, this goes into a 400-degree oven for 15 or 20 minutes until it's crispy. Then what you want to do is you want to get your vegetables going. You want to grab a little unsalted butter, just a couple tablespoons, and what we're going to do is we're just going to saute up some vegetables. 1 medium onion. This is just about 1 medium potato, just, cubed up a little bit. And then the other thing you're going to want in here is you're going to want a few carrots. Now all we're going to do is bring this down, let it simmer until those onions are just translucent and the vegetables are a little bit soft. You need about 1.5 pounds of stew meat, chopped up, small pieces, and that's about 1.5 pounds. You want 2 tablespoons of flour. So there's about 1 tablespoon, and there's about 2 tablespoons. It'll also help you thicken up your sauce a bit too. Give us a nice gravy for the pie. Okay, then once we have that translucent and those vegetables, just add your meat. And you want to give this about 10 minutes or so to brown. And any extra flour, you can just tap right in there because that's going to thicken up our sauce. Okay, While that's browning up for you, let's prepare a pie crust. So all you need to do is get your pie crust, like a Pillsbury one, like, you know, whatever's in the refrigerator, and really just unroll it into your pie plate. And just give it a little pinch around the edge so the sides of the pie don't fall when you're baking it. Just a couple of quick holes in the bottom to let any air out. This is smelling good. Let's give it a little seasoning. Give it a little salt. And let's give it a little bit of pepper. Now we're gonna put just about a half a cup of beef broth in here, just to let it get a little bit of a gravy for us. All right, that beef broth is already starting to thicken up here. We wanna simmer it for about another 10 minutes or so, just so we get a nice rich creamy sauce here. And then we're gonna remove it from the heat, and we're gonna let it cool, oh, I don't know, maybe like 10 or 15 minutes before it goes into the pie crust. Okay, this is just about cool. When it's done, we're gonna put it into our pie plate, put our bacon lattice across the top, and put it back into our oven at 400 degrees for about another 40 minutes. Your crust is gonna get golden, and your bacon's gonna get extra crispy, and it's gonna come out looking just like this. Welcome to Winterfell. So, of note, when she was eating the big heart, no bacon involved. It was supposed to look like that. Anyhow, George R.R. Martin's book is a wonderful companion if you're a fan of Game of Thrones. It reads like a book. Each of the recipes in here are part of a different region. The one that we cooked is from Winterfell. There's recipes from the Southland, and it's really, really great. Jim's not a cook by any means, and he went through every page of this book. It's just rich with descriptions of food, and George R.R. Martin even calls this food porn when he puts it into his books and into his TV series, Game of Thrones. So pick this one up, it's a fun one.
Wow, all of that looks really delicious. I love looking through cookbooks and finding new recipes. Speaking of new, what's new for nerds this week?
They've opened a portal.
On September 29th, Once Upon a Time starts on ABC, along with Family Guy and American Dad on Fox.
You're gonna need me this week?
Maybe Friday. Now where are the gays? Over here? No, the really cartoony gays. Yoo-hoo! There you are. We're gonna need you guys all week.
October 1st, This Is the End DVD release.
This place is beautiful, man.
This place is like a piece of me. You two just stepped inside me.
Let us both come inside you. Yeah.
Boom.
October 3rd, Vampire Diaries on the CW.
Hello, my shadow self, Silas.
October 4th, Metallica Through the Never. Our segment from last week was a great preview of what is to come for that movie. And as part of the Milwaukee Film Festival, on October 5th and 8th, the history of Future Folk featured at Fox Bay Cinema.
Ladies and gentlemen, all the way from the planet Hondo, we are Future Folk.
And next week, we'll be interviewing a local artist and illustrator.
Yeah, Javier Avila. We both have a piece of his.
Yeah.
He's a really great artist.
Beautiful stuff.
Wow, I love that Wonder Woman. That's beautiful.
And I got Nightwing.
And make sure next week you tune in to us online. We're going online exclusive at thenerdshow.tv. Our fans have spoken, and that's where you're watching us. So we'll see you next week at thenerdshow.tv. Thanks for watching.